This house had a buyer. The offer was accepted, the dates were set, and then the mortgage surveyor went up into the loft and the whole sale collapsed in a single afternoon. Not damp, not subsidence. This spray foam insulation. If it's in your loft, there's a very real chance that the next time you try to sell, remortgage, or even insure your home, you'll be told the same thing thousands of UK homeowners are hearing right now. Computer says no. But here's what almost nobody explains properly, and it's the reason most people panic and make an expensive mistake. So in the next few minutes, I'll tell you exactly why lenders react like this, whether you genuinely have to rip it out, what removal really costs, and, just as importantly, how to make sure you don't get stung twice. Stay with me, because the last part is the bit the cowboys don't want you to know. First, let's be fair to the foam, because if you've got it, you were almost certainly told it was a good idea. Spray foam insulation is a liquid that's sprayed into your loft, where it expands and sets into a solid, airtight layer. And on paper, it's brilliant. It seals every little gap, it stops drafts, it quietens the house, and it goes in fast. A lot of it was fitted in good faith. Some homeowners took it up under government-backed energy grants, the Green Homes Grant, and schemes like it, genuinely trying to do the right thing and cut their heating bills. But a lot of it was sold far less honestly. Doorstep callers, free survey pressure, and one pitch in particular, an older roof that was tired, slipping slates, tired battens, and instead of a costly re-roof, a salesman offers to spray the underside, glue it all together, and save you £5,000. It sounds like a miracle. The problem is what that decision does to your house the day you try to move. So why do mortgage lenders treat spray foam like a red flag? It comes down to two words: hidden and risk. Start with hidden. When a surveyor goes into a normal loft, they can look straight at the roof timbers and the underside of the roof and judge their condition. Spray foam covers all of that. The surveyor literally cannot see the wood that's holding your roof up. And a lender will not lend hundreds of thousands of pounds against a roof that nobody is allowed to inspect. From their side of the desk, "I can't see it, and it might be rotten," are the same sentence. Now the risk itself, and this is where the type of foam matters, because you'll hear two names thrown around. Open cell foam is softer and lets some moisture pass through it. Closed cell is denser and acts like a vapor barrier. Here's the catch that traps so many UK roofs. British roofs are usually cold and were built to breathe. Warm, damp air from the house rises into the loft. When that moist air meets the cold roof and can't escape, because the foam has sealed the path it used to take, it condenses and it sits against the timber. Damp timber with no airflow and no way to dry out eventually rots, and because the foam is hiding it, you'd often have no idea until it's serious. That's not a guarantee it'll happen to your roof. Plenty of installs are fine for years, but it's exactly the risk a lender refuses to gamble on. And there's a cruel irony here. Remember that saved you £5,000 on a re-roof pitch? If the foam was sprayed onto a roof that was already on its way out, it hasn't fixed anything. It's just hidden the problem and made it far harder to deal with. Which brings us to the bit that actually affects your life. Here's what this means in practice today in the UK. Major lenders, including names like TSB, Nationwide, and Halifax, are flagging or outright refusing properties with spray foam in the roof. It's reported that more than 50 UK lenders now treat it as a serious issue. So this isn't one fussy surveyor having a bad day. It's most of the mortgage market. Around 250,000 UK homes are estimated to be affected. People who can't sell, can't remortgage, or have watched a sale collapse at the last minute. Where these homes do sell, they often go for noticeably less. Figures of 10 to 20% below market value get quoted. And I've seen real cases of buyers knocking tens of thousands off purely because of the foam. One homeowner took £20,000 off their asking price and still had to retile the roof. And before you ask, no, there's no government scheme to bail you out. In 2025, it was confirmed there's no financial help to have spray foam removed. If it's in your loft, sorting it out is on you. So the obvious question is the one everyone asks me next. Do you actually have to rip it all out? And I want to be straight with you here, because this is exactly where panicked people get talked into things. The honest answer is, not always, but usually, if you want to sell or remortgage with a mainstream lender, yes, there is a middle path worth knowing about. In some cases, a qualified, independent surveyor can inspect the installation, document the type of foam, the ventilation, and the condition of the timbers, and produce a report that satisfies a lender that the roof is sound. When the foam was well installed on a suitable roof, that route can occasionally save you a removal you didn't need. But, and this matters, that only works when the install genuinely is sound, and many simply aren't. For most homeowners, especially where the foam was sprayed straight onto the roof or the paperwork's long gone, removal is what actually unlocks the mortgage. The key point is this: you shouldn't be guessing, and you shouldn't let a salesman decide it for you. Get it assessed independently first. Find out which camp you're actually in, and then make the call with real information. So let's talk about what removal actually involves, because there's a lot of fear and nonsense around it too. First, the myth that scares people most, that you can't remove spray foam without replacing the entire roof. For a badly bonded, sprayed onto the felt job, removal can be tough, but in the great majority of cases, a proper specialist removes the foam by hand without re-roofing the house. Here's the real process. A trained crew scrapes and strips the foam off the timbers by hand. It's slow, messy, physical work. They clean the rafters and battens back, so the roof can finally be inspected properly. They check the condition of the timber underneath. Then they re-insulate the loft the correct way, usually at the ceiling level, and crucially, they restore the ventilation the foam took away, so the roof can breathe again. Done properly, you don't just end up back where you started. You end up with a healthier roof and a mortgageable home. What about cost? As a guide, removal tends to run around £50 to £75 per square metre, with closed cell, the tougher, denser stuff, costing more than open cell. Most jobs take somewhere in the region of 2 to 5 days. Your actual figure depends on your roof size, the type of foam, and how it was applied, which again is exactly why a proper assessment beats a guess. And once it's done, the final piece is the one that actually gets your mortgage moving. When the work's finished, you want independent verified certification, ideally signed off by a chartered surveyor, confirming the foam is gone and the roof is sound. That is the piece of paper a lender wants to see, which leads to the warning I promised you at the start. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody in this industry likes to say out loud. The same high-pressure, doorstep selling culture that talked a lot of people into spray foam has now turned up on the other side, selling people the removal. You're a worried homeowner who's just been told your house is unsellable. That's a frightened, motivated customer, and the cowboys know it. So protect yourself. Be wary of anyone who cold calls or doorsteps you. Be wary of sign today pressure and big deposits up front. And be very wary of a company that hands you its own certificate, saying its own work is fine, because a lender may not accept a removal firm marking its own homework. What you want is independent verification, a chartered surveyor's sign-off that stands on its own. The safe way through this is simple. Get an independent assessment first, so you know whether you even need removal. Use vetted, accountable specialists, not whoever knocked on your door. Make sure the end result is properly, independently certified, the kind lenders actually accept, and never let anyone rush you. Do that, and what feels like a nightmare today becomes a few days of work and a house you can sell. So here's your plan. 1. Actually look in your loft. If you're buying, selling, or remortgaging, this 5-minute check could save you thousands. 2. If you've got spray foam, get an honest, independent assessment of what you're dealing with before you spend a penny on removal. And 3. If removal is the right call, get it done properly and certified, so a lender will accept it. If you want help with any of that, that's exactly what we do. At Spray Foam Removal Advice, we'll give you free, no-obligation advice, match you with vetted UK specialists, and make sure the work is independently certified. No salespeople, no pressure. The link's in the description and pinned in the comments. Start with the free advice, even if all you need is peace of mind that your roof is fine. Quick recap. Lenders reject spray foam because they can't inspect the roof and they won't risk hidden rot. Around 250,000 homes are caught up in it with no government help. You don't always have to remove it, but you do need to know, not guess. Removal is usually straightforward in the right hands, and the magic words are independent certification. And whatever you do, don't get stung twice on the way out. Subscribe if you'd like the plain English version of this stuff. Next time, I'll break down exactly what removal costs, line by line, so you know a fair quote when you see one. Thanks for watching, and good luck. You've got this.